Cringey 90-Day Fiancé moments. This show seems to be the mother of all cringy drama brewing on reality television. Most of the time, viewers are left wondering if the thing is indeed scripted because the characters tend to do the most. And by this, I mean the most. Just to understand the intensity of this drama today, we prepared for you some of the cringy 90-Day Fiancé moments. Number 5. Juliana and Mike discussing prenup. To make sure Juliana is clear on what a prenup involves, Michael takes her to talk to a mediator about what the terms of their prenup might be. Juliana decides that she needs to become more financially independent in case they should ever get divorced. Juliana and Michael have wrestled with their many differences since they first appeared on Season 7 of TLC's 90-Day Fiancé. After meeting at a yacht party in Croatia, the two hit it off right away. After a long wait and several K-1 visa delays, they were finally able to come together in the US. Michael is a wealthy wine entrepreneur, while Juliana grew up without much money. During this particular episode, Juliana and Michael realized how much their different financial circumstances could affect their relationship. The couple met with the mediator after Michael's ex-wife, Sarah Jessen, suggested they get a prenuptial agreement to protect the inheritance for their shared children, Max and Cece, in the event of a divorce. Juliana was confused by what a prenuptial agreement could mean for her future.
I don't even know what prenup is. Doesn't matter how hard you try to explain. I don't get it.
The idea of getting the prenup makes me sad. I want to make everything for this marriage to work, said Juliana, but Michael explained he was in favor of a prenup because of how expensive his divorce from Sarah had been. Meanwhile, Juliana was upset with the fact that Michael hadn't broached the subject with her first. Why I had to hear about the prenup from Sarah, not you, she asked Michael. But while the 90-Day Fiancé star said he thought Sarah's suggestion for a prenup was out of character and uncouth, he didn't explain why he hadn't brought up the topic with his wife himself. The confrontation between Michael, Juliana, and the attorney, aka mediator, was uncomfortable and awkward. At the meeting, Michael revealed that he wanted a separate property marriage, not joint property.
Name, or what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So it's gonna be totally what we call separate property?
Yeah.
He seemed surprised, however, when the mediator advocated for Juliana's interests. Michael said he'd be happy to provide anything Juliana wanted while they were married. But the mediator suggested that wasn't enough. Those are gifts, the mediator pushed back. You can't just write Juliana out of everything. She turned to Juliana and asked, if your career takes off, do you want to share your money with Michael? If you don't want to share, I don't want to share, Juliana asserted, surprising her fiance. Michael is very definite about keeping his income, keeping his assets very separate, the mediator told 90-Day Fiancé producers. She added that Juliana was young and worried that she had a lot to learn. Since Michael had kicked out Juliana in the past after an argument, she had every reason to worry about Michael's reliability. She brought up how much she'd sacrificed to be with him. I had to give up all my jobs, my little dogs, my family. It's very uncomfortable to talk about divorce before I even marry, she shared. The Brazilian model also dropped the bombshell that Michael had left her high and dry before. Me and Michael broke up for 3 months. I don't know why we broke up. He just called me and said, I don't want to stay with you anymore. Bye, she told producers. Then she claimed he suddenly disappeared when she needed to pay rent after he promised to support her financially. After that, she explained she was afraid to rely on him completely, financially, or otherwise. After the meeting with the mediator, Juliana and Michael had a stressful conversation about the division of assets, trust, and Juliana's feelings of powerlessness. I can't depend on anyone I don't trust. I can't, said Juliana. It's time for me to be independent. But while Michael encouraged his fiancé to stay positive, Juliana clapped back. If you were in my shoes, you could think the same thing. Don't judge. Michael was uncomfortable, but didn't say much as they headed home. She was ready to be financially independent and make her own money. Breaking down in front of 90-Day Fiancé producers, Juliana said she felt blindsided, as she hadn't even known what a prenuptial agreement was before she arrived in the US. He has more money, so he has more power, right? I feel like a loser, because there's nothing I can do, she said of her wealthier and older fiancé. She added that the proceedings made her feel desperate, and that she felt like she had no control over her fate. He can just kick me out like he did last year. Just disappear like that, she worried. I'm angry with myself because I'm in this situation right now. Number 4. Annie over Robert's old Facebook pictures of exes. Robert and Annie have been having problems ever since Annie arrived in the US. The two first had differences over how to spend money, but it looks like blasts from the past are about to fracture this relationship even more. In this episode, Annie and Robert decided to go for a dinner date and spend some quality time together. While things seemed to be heading in a good direction, it was interrupted when Annie brought up the topic of Robert's past relationships. Annie revealed that she wasn't too happy to see that Robert still had pictures of his past relationships on his social media. Taking out her phone, she revealed the screenshots that she'd taken and shown it to Robert. She was quick to point out that she wasn't comfortable seeing PDA-filled images of Robert with other women. Robert then revealed that he had 5 children with 4 women.
I have 5 beautiful children by 4 different women.
He further added that Annie knew everything about his past and despite this decided to be with him. For Annie, deleting the photos was a matter of respect towards her, but Robert didn't see it that way, especially when it came to his kids. "I don't want to get rid of the pictures with my children involved," he told her, but Annie clapped back, saying that this was just an excuse. "This photo is not with a kid, Robert," she insisted. The 90 Day Fiancé star insisted that several of the photos were not with his children and that some even included PDA like making out and hugging. Annie was quick to point out she wasn't too happy to hear that Robert had been in so many relationships before her. She then demanded him to delete the pictures or else go back to them. However, Robert wasn't happy with Annie's tone and asked how his past affected their present. He further added that Annie didn't have any pictures with him on her social media and how it wasn't any different from him keeping his pictures of his past relationship. Annie wasn't impressed with Robert's answer and was adamant about making him delete the posts. However, things didn't work out the way she wanted them to. Many viewers noticed that Robert seemed to have a double standard for her. When Annie asked her fiancé what he'd do if she had photos of her exes on social media, he told her, "Call that dude, have him take you to the airport, and deuces." The pair got into a heated argument and their dinner date soon turned into a nightmare, with the pair ending up with one major disagreement. Number 3. Emily is meeting Sasha's ex-wife for the first time. Emily found herself walking into an uncomfortable situation as she prepared to head to a restaurant with Sasha to meet one of his ex-wives, Masha, in hopes of building a connection with her since she's a mother to one of his 2 kids. The two had been engaged while they await Sasha's K-1 visa, making Emily his 3rd wife. Heading into the meeting, Emily was aware of his past marriages. As Sasha said, his first wife was a difficult person, so they got divorced, and a few years later, he met his 2nd wife. He said that things changed because I got muscular, and she said, "That's not what I want."
When I became more and more muscular, she said, "I don't like you. It's not what I wanted."
Speaking to cameras, Masha provided some more insight to the viewers on how his divorces actually went down, revealing that he left her for his 2nd wife after getting her pregnant during their marriage. Masha said he came to her and asked for a divorce because he was having a 2nd child with his future 2nd wife. The main reason behind the 3 meeting up, though, was to introduce Masha and Emily and get her approval to allow Daniel, Sasha, and Masha's son to visit him in America. Sasha informed his ex that he would like to prepare documents for their son. After all, as he put it, he has a brother on the way, as Emily is 9 months pregnant and is set to have their kid at any moment. To that, Masha got defensive, asking why Sasha can't just stay in Russia. "And don't you think that your 2 other children need their father too?" Sasha and Emily both said they can care for Daniel and that she isn't trying to be Daniel's mother, but will be there to help raise him. Masha resisted granting them the satisfaction, but ultimately said it would be up to Daniel on whether or not he wants to visit. The meeting left Emily feeling so uncomfortable that she ended up leaving the table to step outside as the 2 exes continued speaking. One more time, Masha urged Sasha not to leave, saying that she doesn't want him to leave. Masha feels that Sasha is simply using Emily to get into America and open new opportunities for him. I've heard my doubts about these two, and many viewers feel like Sasha is just using Emily. However, what do you think? Number 2, Larissa and Colt's cousin have an explosive fight at a family barbecue. Larissa is over the moon that Colt finally proposed to her because then the couple can move to their own place without Debbie, since Larissa and Debbie aren't exactly the best of friends. Colt decides that nothing cures a rough patch quite like a family barbecue, so he invites his cousin and his wife over to join the gang for some hot dogs and burgers. The issue is that Larissa and Colt's cousin John don't get along either, so really this is just a terrible idea. Right from the start, John snubs Larissa and asks how everything is going. Colt fills John in on the complicated situation with Colt's mom and the living arrangements. And just like that, Larissa and John are at each other's throats. The cousins try to explain that it's a sacrifice for both Larissa and Deb, and that Larissa should respect Debbie. Colt wants everyone to calm down and enjoy the house that we live in, and Deb is the only kin Colt has.
Just calm down and enjoy the house that we live in, enjoy each other's company.
Larissa retorts that Debbie is not the saint that you paint, and that sets John off. John demands to know how Larissa's life is hell right now, because she doesn't do anything at all. He goes further by saying, "You should feel like a damn queen, and you take advantage of Colt." This whole time, Colt just sits there and allows for this to unravel. He doesn't say a word, one way or another, and looks as though he just saw a ghost. The fight escalates. Cousin John demands that Colt deserves better, and Debbie warns to not come inside screaming. John claims he can't pretend anymore, and Larissa screams that John is not invited to her wedding. Larissa shrieks, "Who is against the queen will die."
Fighting for the other. In my wedding! Don't come into my wedding, okay? Who is against the queen will die?
Respect is.
Colt is unsure what to do, as he cannot handle anyone who is irrational, so therefore, he allows this to blow up completely. John believes in true love and thinks that this whole relationship is garbage. Once John, his wife, and his children leave, Colt attempts to calmly discuss the events that occurred with an angry Larissa. Although I do not condone Larissa's behavior, I do understand that she's feeling upset with Colt, as he didn't stick up for her. Larissa repeats that John isn't invited to the wedding, and she lashes out on Debbie too. Colt tries to figure out why Larissa goes from zero to bitch, and Debbie finally yells out, "I am done with you. I am so done." Colt sits with his legs crossed and nonchalantly attempts to talk some sense into his fuming fiancé. Larissa tosses the engagement ring at Colt and tells him to marry the woman his mother wants him to. Colt states that he was really hurt when Larissa threw the ring, and it puts more doubt in my decision to marry her. Really rude. Could it just be she realized aside from being a broke mama's boy, you're also a coward? Number 1. David makes Evelyn's best friend break down in tears. David and Evelyn's relationship is very questionable. I mean, this guy is over 8 years her senior, but still flew all the way just to be with her. As much as David tried to win the hearts of many, it seems he couldn't crack Harriet, who was genuinely concerned for her friend's well-being. During his welcome party, the two had the opportunity to meet and get to know each other, but the friction was just too much to watch. When Harriet arrived, she was kind to David, but shared that she wouldn't immediately accept him and pretended to like him, and it's only with time after learning his character that she could open up to him. Something David didn't appreciate because he felt it would bring relationship issues between him and Evelyn. Evelyn, on the other side, was putting her longtime friend in the hot seat because she clearly told her if she didn't like David, she was disrespecting her.
And if you don't like David, then you're disrespecting me.
How? Evelyn was clearly too young and blinded by love. As her brother stepped in, he tried to calm the situation, but David became more rude and aggressive, asking if Harriet was in a relationship and telling her that she wouldn't understand what he was going through with Evelyn because she'd never experienced a relationship.
Dating someone currently?
I am not.
Okay. It's just like you sound like someone who's not dating anyone.
This left Harriet to break down on camera as it sounded very offensive. This older guy seriously sat there and felt good about grilling an 18-year-old on a relationship status. Very mature of him indeed.